Hi everybody, it's Claire with another art journal cover for you. So today this is a bit of a slower video. So the last one obviously was quite fast because it was filmed as a time lapse. This one wasn't, so this one is a bit more leisurely. It's a bit scary speaking that fast, but anyway. So this is one of the Kraft journals that I'd finished, and as you know, quite often I do my journal covers last of all. It's almost like, I don't know, putting the icing on the cake, I suppose. So I'm going in with some collage paper from Dina Wakley Media, and instead of going across the page, which I often tend to do, I decided I would use the lines to create some movement going up and down the page. So I'm just adding some on with some gel matte medium. Now this Kraft card, stock and cardboard on the cover can be quite thirsty, so it does seem to use quite a lot of gel medium. And then once it's dry, I'm just going in with another stamp. This is another one from Dina Wakley. I'm not sure which set it was from. And just adding some marks onto there as well. Then I am using some black paint. My goodness, I had some black paint. And just adding like a stripe going across the centre of the page. So as you can see, this is an Amsterdam acrylic black paint. And I'm not being particularly tidy with this. I am just swiping it across the page and trying really hard to leave some of the craft showing, although it's rapidly disappearing, isn't it? And then I'm going back in again once that's dry and adding some of the white on white collage tissue paper. This was from one of Dina's older packs, over the top, just to break up that band of black that's gone across the middle of the journal cover. Again, I'm just using gel medium to stick this down. So what this is going to do, I think, is just to push away that black a little bit, bring the focus back into the foreground where the white marks are on the tissue paper. So you notice that I lifted the journal up when I was adding the black paint and the collage paper, because otherwise the paint and the collage tissue paper doesn't go into the folds on the spine. So then one of my most favourite stencils, Circles for Painting stencil, and I am using some white paint over this, through this stencil. So this is creating another layer on this journal cover and also just breaking up some of that black, because then I'm going to be going in adding some more stenciling over the top. So then I am using this stencil called Growing Masks from Dina Wakley Media, and I'm going in with some permanent red violet light from Amsterdam acrylic, and I'm just going to start building up some of the floral and botanical elements on the cover now. So I've gone in, started off with the quite monochromatic colour scheme, and then I'm just adding some pops of colour on top of that. So this one is the same stencil, yes, it is the Growing Masks one. And I'm using the tall flowers, and the shorter ones I'm just making the stalk a bit longer by just moving the stencil to create a longer stem, and then adding a leaf from the other one as well. So you can kind of mix and match your stencils a little bit. You can move things around, turn them over, and add extra bits on using other parts of other stencils. So then I'm using this turquoise paint, so you can see that I'm just kind of working to balance that page so that it does feel right. And then I've mixed the pink and the turquoise together and made a really pretty lilac colour. So there's lots of layering going on here. And that lilac works really well because it is those two first colours mixed together, so it kind of it sits really nicely with those colours that are already there. And then I'm just using my Signo Uniball and the white Posca pen, and I'm going to pull some of those images forward by just outlining them and adding some mark making onto them. And what that does is, like I say, that just brings those into the foreground and it'll push those other ones back into the background. So I'm also mixing up the pens that I'm using to outline these flowers. So this is just an ordinary black gel pen, it's not waterproof, but I knew that I wasn't going to be adding any water or wet elements onto the page, so it didn't matter. And I'm just using this to add some mark making onto the other flowers that are there. So kind of just playing with the shapes and the patterns and adding different mark making onto these flowers. So then just going back in on the blue ones with the white pen, so keeping that because that was the same on the first one, and then I'm going to add some of the same mark making onto these ones so that there is some cohesiveness throughout the patterns that are on the front of the journal. But equally so, you could just make them all different if that was what you wanted to do. So it doesn't really matter. I didn't really have a plan when I set out with this, it's just kind of evolved as it went along. And then I'm using a pink Posca pen and going in and adding some marks onto the flowers that are in the background. And it's kind of really starting to come alive now. I think this was just an ordinary pink Posca pen, it wasn't a fluorescent one, but that would have worked just as well. And then of course I've got to add some dots at the bottom of the page, otherwise it wouldn't be me, would it? So that's what I'm doing here using my Posca pen, just helping to ground those images at the bottom of the page. And there we go, that's the finished journal page cover, journal cover. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.